Tuesday at 12:30 for your weekly news roundup and a discussion of current events. Feel free to comment and ask us questions in the field below. So, Alan, we are celebrating Israel's Independence Day this week.
Yes, we are.
Wow.
Eat some hummus.
Is that what we're going to do? We're gonna and watch Wonder Woman. Right. Done. Celebration done. Right. So to commemorate its 70th anniversary, we have a bunch of stories up on jmoreliving.com about Baltimore area events and an event taking place tonight at Beth Tefillah with Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of the Atlantic, and Brett Stevens of the New York Times about the future of Israel. So you guys should go check that out. It's at 7:30.
It should be really fascinating.
And Ben Cardin is going to moderate, and he made news last night at an event at what I can't remember what it's called.
J Street.
Yeah, that that event.
Right.
So you definitely probably want to check this one out.
He's a little critical of the president.
Yeah, he's got some things to say right now. Yeah. Who doesn't really? Well, yeah. So anyway, what else is happening, Alan?
Okay. Well, Bernie Madoff's victims are finally having their day in the sun, hopefully.
That was a long time coming.
A long time coming. The Madoff Victim Fund began distributing $504 million in funds to victims of Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme. The funds, whose distribution began on April 12th, will be sent to more than 21,000 Madoff victims around the world, according to the Justice Department. The distribution is the second in a series of payments that will eventually return over $4 billion to Madoff's victims. We cannot undo the damage that Bernie Madoff has done, said Attorney General Jeff Sessions in a statement, but today's distribution will provide significant relief to many of the victims of one of the worst frauds of all time.
You're no kidding.
Madoff used his position as the chairman of his investment securities company to swindle billions of dollars from the early 1970s until his arrest in 2008.
Man was busy.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be committing crimes.
And it's been a long time since he was caught, too.
Yeah, well, it took that long to get this all worked out.
A real long time.
Courts.
There were many prominent non-Jewish, Jewish nonprofit organizations that suffered big losses with the Madoff scheme, including Yeshiva University taking a $140 million hit.
Jeez.
Wow. Hadassah, $90 million. And Elie Wiesel, poor Elie Wiesel, his foundation lost $15 million in the whole scheme. In 2009, Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies and is serving a 150-year sentence in a federal prison in North Carolina. Some people feel like it's not even long enough. He was also ordered to forfeit nearly $171 billion.
Can you imagine having $171 billion to forfeit?
Incredible.
Also, you would think after he earned that first after he stole that first billion, he would have been like, okay, I'm good. I got $1 billion. I'm all right.
It's an addiction.
And I didn't realize all those businesses or foundations were affected. I always just thought it was individuals, because I remember, like, famously Kevin Bacon,
right, and Keira Sedgwick,
right, because someone just asked him in an interview, why are you doing all this work? You're in so many movies right now, and one after the other. And he's like, I have no money because Bernie Madoff took it all. I have to work. Right. But I didn't realize about the foundations.
Yeah, a lot of Jewish federations around the country also got hurt by it. Not our local one, but in different cities. So
amazing.
He was a equal opportunity scam artist.
Yeah, that is a nice word. Nice way to say that.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking of worse words. So now, there's an update on the latest in the African migrant situation in Israel.
More than 200 African migrants in jail in Israel were released by order of the Supreme Court after a deal to deport them to another African country remains unsigned. The migrants and asylum seekers were released over several hours on April 15th from the Saharanim prison in southern Israel, where they've been held after refusing to leave the Jewish state voluntarily. The Israeli Supreme Court ordered them to be released on April 15th, the day that the government was to present its final plan for sending them to another country. The court also ordered the government's deportation plan suspended for an additional two weeks, according to Haaretz. On April 12th, Uganda said it was considering a request from Israel to take in 500 African migrants that Israel would deport, the first time that an African country confirmed that it was going along with the Israeli government's controversial deportation plan. Mm-hmm. Uganda was one of two countries that has surfaced in reports as a possible destination for some 38,000 African asylum seekers in Israel to be deported under a plan announced in January by the Israeli government. Under the plan, migrants who had chosen to leave by March 31st would receive a payment plan of $3,500, as well as free airfare and other incentives.
Like a swag bag? Like,
yeah.
What do they get?
T-shirts.
parting
gifts.
Airlines, T-shirts.
As I told you before, like I mentioned to you before, it's kind of ironic with Uganda because Uganda, of course, is where the raid on Entebbe took place. So obviously Israel and Uganda are getting along better these days. And Uganda was at one point considered, was actually offered by I think England and France as a possible Jewish homeland before there was, long before there was Israel.
Fascinating. Why did England and France get to make that offer?
Well, it was colonial times.
Oh.
So
they ran
Africa basically.
And they
offered Uganda.
Wow.
And I believe there's some Jewish tribes, since we're talking about Uganda, some Jewish tribes in Uganda too.
That is so fascinating. Can you imagine how different everything would have been? Well, I don't know if anything would have been different. We just would have been in Africa instead of the Middle East.
Well, they turned them down.
That's interesting.
But,
I think we could have a second Jewish state over there.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Let's just do another one.
How many do you need? They don't even get along in the one they have.
New York is the second
right,
Jewish state.
That's right. Some say Baltimore is the third.
If you're just joining us, this is JMOR's Need to Know on Facebook Live. Share, like, and follow at hashtag JMOR Need to Know. So I love these stories about antiquities and archaeological discoveries. They just never stop fascinating me. Yeah. They're amazing.
Well, students working to build the Sanhedrin Trail in Israel's Galilee unearthed a 1,400-year-old oil lamp bearing the symbol of the Jerusalem Temple's menorah, according to the Israeli Antiquities Authority. The nearly 45-mile-long trail running from Beit Sha'arim to Tiberias across the lower Galilee is divided into 5 sections and traces the movements of the sages of the Sanhedrin, who were the Jewish tribunal group that met in the ancient land of Israel. The trail will be inaugurated on April 22nd. That's a Sunday. Got to get over there. In addition to the oil lamp, the student volunteers have uncovered pieces of glass believed to date back to the glass industry mentioned in rabbinical texts and ornamental items dating back 1,800 years. How cool.
This is so cool. So the trail that they're making is a smart trail, and there's like little smart stones laid out. So as you walk, your phone will tell you about this trail. I know, it's awesome. Cool. But then the fact that they found these treasures, and we do have a picture of it up on jmoreliving.com, but you can see it looks like a little menorah in this ceramic or pottery, but it looks sort of like it was printed, or not printed, but whatever. It was upside down because the hole is here and whatever. But it's really cool. I mean, it clearly looks like a menorah. This is all so fascinating that there's still stuff to find. There's so much stuff to find. Yeah. It's like
over there anyway.
Digging in Africa,
and in Africa.
But I didn't know about this glass industry mentioned in rabbinical texts. That's also pretty interesting. Yeah. Deborah Wallach is watching us. Hello.
Oh, she is. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Deb. And I think she thought my swag bag joke was funny.
Okay.
I got a little sort of emoji about it.
Deborah was a co-worker of ours and a friend of ours many years ago at another publication.
Yes, many years ago. A whole different life
Hi, Deb.
for me. Hi, Deb. All right, so there's also some news about...
and David Hurst.
Oh, yeah, all of those people.
All those people.
So there's some news about this antique Bible.
Yeah, an antique Bible or Tanakh that was stolen from the library of a wealthy French Jewish doctor by Nazi leader Hermann Goering will be sold at a public auction. According to its bookplate, the book was stolen from the home library of a Jewish doctor by the name of J.N. Pelou of Beaugency, France, sometime after the Nazi conquest of France in 1945. According to a second bookplate glued opposite the front page, the book was taken from Goering's private collection in Berghof in the Berchtesgaden region.
Whatever, somewhere in
Berchtesgaden. The Kedem auction house in Jerusalem said in a statement that the Bible was printed by Manasseh ben Israel in Amsterdam in the 17th century.
Wow.
Quote, one of a few Bibles printed by a Jew at that time. After World War II, Goering, of course, was captured by the Allies and convicted of war crimes and crimes against humanity at the Nuremberg trials, and he committed suicide by taking cyanide the night before he was to be hanged.
probably disappointing many people with that. Yes. That's sort of anticlimactic end for someone such a monster.
In 2005, the stolen book was bequeathed as a gift to Mr. Rosenfeld of London by a chaplain of the French division that stormed Goering's house at the end of World War II, according to Kadam. So, Deborah Wallach, if you want to buy this, you have to go to the auction.
Go to the auction.
There you go.
Yeah, so Goering was a collector.
Get out your checkbook.
Was a bit obsessed with Jewish artifacts, which is
well, a lot of the Nazis
crazy.
were. They wanted to build a whole museum to the lost civilization of the Jews,
the
sort of like what we do with the Native Americans.
We do too. Right. So what they're destroying, they're like, "Oh, we love your stuff so much. We want it all.
We just don't love you.
Just get out of the way so we can have all of it."
Right.
Yeah, that is kind of what we do with the Native Americans, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Do like a good Navajo taco. So there's some sad news out of Hollywood.
Filmmaker Mila Forman, famous for the Academy Award-winning films One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Amadeus, has passed away. Forman, who was born in Czechoslovakia and came to the United States at the end of the 1960s, died on April 14th at a hospital near his Connecticut home. He was 86. It was very interesting.
This is a totally interesting story. I didn't know any of this.
So I didn't either. I knew about his parents a little bit, but I didn't know about the other part of it. Anyway, Foreman's parents, who were Protestant and members of the anti-Nazi underground, were killed by the Nazis during the Holocaust. His mother died in Auschwitz, and his father died while being interrogated by the Gestapo in the Mittelbau-Dora concentration camp. Foreman later learned that his biological father was a Jewish man with whom his mother had an affair. Sounds like a movie. And the man survived the Holocaust, and Foreman later found him living in Peru.
Amazing.
Foreman moved to the United States after the invasion of communist troops in Czechoslovakia, known as the Prague Spring, which squelched artistic freedom. Other Foreman films include, of course, Hair, Ragtime, and Man on the Moon.
Man on the Moon is an
Andy
awesome
Kaufman.
movie.
Yes.
Glenn, did you see that movie? Awesome movie. Yeah, actually, I like most of his movies. I love Amadeus. Yeah. No, this is this is an amazing story. I would read his life story. I think it's important to note or remember that other people besides Jews were killed by Nazis and died in Auschwitz. I don't think we don't stress that often enough, or it doesn't come up that often, but it's amazing.
I mean, the Holocaust Museum in D.C. does do that to a certain extent. Most of it is overwhelmingly dedicated to the Jewish victims, but there are parts where it recognizes the gays and lesbians and the handicapped people and I think the labor trade unionists who also were killed in the Holocaust.
Right. Pretty much anyone that was different or wasn't the Aryan ideal or didn't.
Oh, and the Roma, too. The gypsies.
Oh, yes, the Roma.
Yeah.
Right. We're not allowed to say gypsies because that's a derogatory term.
Right.
All right. Well, anyway, so great story. So, Alan, did you do your taxes? Did you file?
Of course. I don't want any trouble.
You don't want the trouble. Right. You don't want the man to come get you. So it is tax day. For those of you who didn't realize, you got 2 extra days because April 15th is the normal day. That was a Sunday. Yesterday was apparently Emancipation Day. Did you guys know that? So DC recognizes that as a holiday. Who knew? So that's why tax day wasn't yesterday. It was today. It is today. So file your forms. There's special deals everywhere at various places like Boston Market, Potbelly, Quiznos. Pretty much probably wherever you go, they've got some sort of tax day deal. So, Alan, give us a tax day related.
Wait a minute. Let me go back there. What do you mean they have a tax day deal at Quiznos and Boston Market?
I don't know. Like you get like a
like a discount
or like
they don't charge you tax on their
maybe
meals?
There's deals. There's coupons and there's deals and there's specials everywhere.
I have to confess, I've never been to Potbelly's before.
I don't mind Potbelly sandwiches. Yeah,
it just seems like a bad name for a place, you know.
Overthinking it.
Yeah, you are, because they're pretty good, and their stuff actually tastes healthier than like a Subway to me.
Okay,
they're good. It's not bad. You can add a flatbread. You can get a whole grain.
I've also never been to what's it called, Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's, is that good?
Those are more like Philly style hoagies, right?
I guess. Don't know.
They're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never been to a Jimmy John's.
But Potbelly's is good.
Potbelly's, I agree with him. Okay. And you can get a smoothie or a shake or a malted.
You're making me hungry.
Okay. So anyway, because it's tax day, you need to give us a related J word of the day.
Okay. Well, it's a Yiddish word, and the word is geld.
Geld.
We all know that word from Hanukkah, right? And what does it mean? It means money. Money. Coinage. usage. File your tax returns on time if you want to get back all that gelt.
I want all that gelt.
That's what the tax man said.
So go file. Remember to join us here Tuesdays at 12:30 for your Need to Know News Roundup. Tune in to Facebook Live to join the conversation. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and follow at #JMoreNeedToKnow. Go to jmoreliving.com for more news updates. Have a great week.
Have a good one.
Bye, Deb. See you later.